Hi, I'm Trish Forstner, co-creator of Stray Dogs and Feral.
And I'm Tony Fleece, the other co creator of Stray Dogs and Feral, and you're watching Splash Pages.
So the only thing left to say, of course, is the one obvious thing.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an incredible show for you today, and you're going to love our awesome guests. But without further ado, we'll bring it on over to Kari. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. It's going pretty good. Ratatosker is spending his last couple minutes with me. I am going to be spending the rest of the week over at my mom's puppy sitting, which actually works out really, really well with our show tonight. So since we have so much going on, let's just right over to Jar Jar.
It's me. It's Tuesday night. We got a lot going on. People that are very important are here, and they're stuck to a very small time constraint. So over to you, Drew.
Thank you, Jar.
Through this.
Thank you, Jar. I really appreciate it. I believe that everybody should have an emotional support animal, both real, imaginary, or stuffed, because tonight will break you. Tonight will break you with love and good stories and wonderfulness. We have some great guests tonight. We also have some news, and I need to comb my hair, but let's not talk about me. Let's talk about our guests. Our guests are fantastic, wonderful, enthusiastic people who are very much in love with the craft. It's a writer-artist duo. They'll talk about themselves so much better than we could. Everybody, Tony Fleecs and Trish Forstner.
We're here.
It sounded like you booed at first, Leo.
Why would you boo?
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Woohoo! Okay, gotcha.
Wow. Now remember, guys, we have an hour until Tony turns back into a pumpkin. So we have to make sure we cover a lot of things. So, Jar, drink your tea, but watch the banter.
Oh, I've got this. I got this tonight.
Okay, you're good?
Guys.
You're good?
I want to say, first off, you guys, bravo for pulling off a wonderful, God, I'm forgetting the word now. The beginning part that you guys did for us, because so many people, like, it gets flubbed so many times.
Let's go start with take 2.
And we've done a lot of
It's
bumpers.
called a
in our day.
bumper, Jar. It's called a bumper.
bumpers. That's right. I'm sorry, I was blanking. I'm
It's
kind of
okay.
excited tonight. Like, this is cool. Like, how you guys are. I also was not aware of these books, like Drew was saying, but now that I am, I'm hooked. Stray Dogs was insane. Talk about a tearjerker. Was not expecting, like, I'm reading through and I'm just like, whatever, blah blah blah, and I get to the end and I'm just like, why?
You stole the water from our eyes. It was very
and
we didn't get to keep it. All that water was just wasted. We tried to figure out a way to get those tears for ourselves, but they
no.
So, how'd you both get started in the biz?
Oh, well, my story's much shorter. Yeah, I mean, I started pretty late. I started with My Little Pony. Met a fellow artist, Sarah Richard, at BronyCon a couple of years or a few years back. And I was trying to get my work in at IDW for a long time. I kept sending it into nowhere, I guess, in particular, and to no response. But then she put it in front of Bobby, and Bobby, by the end of the weekend, had emailed me like an ask for a cover. So I did it immediately and started down that path of doing covers for them, which is great. I love playing in that sandbox. But what was really cool was, when Tony came to me at BronyCon, we figured out the timeline, 2019. And, he'd seen a piece that I had done about my dog that had passed away. It's kind of like a All Dogs Go to Heaven style, like homage to him. And so he pitched me issue 1, or actually, I guess the whole story, like right then, and the rest is history for me.
That's
that was very succinct. I definitely would see that as an animated.
Tony's on like a time crunch, so we have to.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I started making comics. My first book came out in 2006, and I was always a fan of comics and of drawing and stories. And early 2000s was like a real fertile time for people making their own stuff, and sort of like weird, like print on demand had just started happening, and so you could make anything could be a comic. And so there was just this real fertile creative time in like message boards and stuff. So I made my first comic, and it was an autobiographical book. It was like the same time that like Jeffrey Brown was really huge, and like James Kolchaka, the American Splendor movie had come out. So I think there was like just a big boom of autobio comics, and I had never written anything at that time. And so I just figured, like, all right, well, I don't know how to write a story. Maybe I just can adapt these stories, things that have happened to me, and make a comic out of that. Like all these stories that I tell at like parties or at a bar or whatever. Let me do little short stories of that. And that's sort of how I taught myself how to write comics, how to make comics. And then from there, I found a publisher for that book, and it came out in comic book stores. And I, on that day, was just like, well, then I will quit my real job and just only make comics now. And then immediately went broke for like 6 straight years. And I was sort of like hustling and trying to find jobs and trying to find different, avenues to make comics. And I did every different part of it. I colored stuff, I lettered. And then just when I sort of was starting to get on my feet and figuring out how to make a living at it, I got hired to make My Little Pony comics. And then I did that for, it started out like Trish, they just gave me a cover. And then it was 2 covers, and then they needed an issue. Somebody flaked on an issue, and they needed 2 issues, and that ended up being like 8 years and hundreds of covers and like almost 50 issues. Just it made a ton of comics in that time. My Little Pony.
Did you pause at all? Did you pause at all when they came to you about doing My Little Pony? Like, because nothing against My Little Pony at all. I have kids that watched it. I have a Brony shirt, all that stuff. But it's not. It's popular, but it's kind of on that weird edge.
Yeah, it's not traditional comics. And there weren't a lot of kids comics at that time either. Like that was sort of on the front of like the tip of the spear of kids comics that started coming out. And so I did not pause because, like I said, I had been just struggling to get it going. And so they wanted to hire me to draw a whole comic and have a page rate, and and I was just like, yeah, this sounds great. This is exactly what I'm trying to do. And also the designs were pretty simple. So I didn't even have a ton of anxiety about like, will I be able to draw this? Even though it took me a little while to figure out how to do it right. But like when they offered me the job, I was just like, yeah, I can do that. That sounds great. Then I just had a good work ethic and was able to hustle and make that thing work for me for years.
So I have a question, just because I've always wondered this, because Jar brought up, it's a very niche genre. What is a My Little Pony con like? Because when I imagine it, I think of Bob's Burgers with the Equestronauts.
Yeah.
That's just what comes to my mind.
They do lean into that, but it's a party. Like, I mean, they know how to party. They know how to write stories. They know how to play games. I mean, like a lot of people I know from that fandom, in the same time, I was also working for a Brony convention. Were coming up, and a lot of them do things in comics or in music or in animation or things like that. They're all out there now as professionals. So that fandom birthed a lot.
They're very creative. They're very creative and they're very nerdy in the same way that like Renaissance Fair nerds or Trek convention nerds. They're people that are super, super into that thing, and it inspires them to want to make stuff. And even if they're not the ones that make stuff, it inspires them to be interested in people that make stuff, and sort of like, they just don't like the toys that come out from Hasbro. They also want to get like the plushies that are made by this one person that makes them, and you can only get them if you go to this one kind of show, or they like this artist who does this specific kind of like meme. It's very, very deep internet nerd shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
It's like it's a subculture, and it really is. It's in all the best ways.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
You
sounds
guys already said. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to say, it sounds, a little bit like, Jar Jar, you're probably going to mention like the He-Man, conventions, or like Transformers. Transformers has its own con, and very similar. Like, I'm a huge Transformers fan. I despise like the Hasbro, toys. You got to go out and get like the third party stuff, and it's that subculture is just amazing. It's yeah, I think it's awesome.
Dear God, I had no idea, Leo.
Yeah.
You truly are more than meets the eye, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I have to ask. So another thing about Stray Dogs is being a horror fan. The one thing, and having the collection, the horror-inspired covers at the end were just fantastic. Like, and because literally it was like, I know that movie. I've seen that movie. That's fantastic. Like, how did that did that just come up organically, or is that like an idea that you're like, I know somebody who does really good horror homage. I'm gonna give him a call. And are you in? And he just does the Rick and Morty, like, I'm in. Son of a bitch. Let's go. Let's make some scary dogs. That
guy is us.
That guy is us.
Oh, good.
So we were in.
You son of a bitch.
Now we
look at them. Like, just
I had a friend who was a retailer, and he when this book was coming together and it was coming out, he said he was like, you should do like movie poster homages. And I was really trying to wrap my head around what that would be. And at first I got to thinking, like, is it animated movies? Like, because it's in an animated style. And then I don't know why it didn't just right away occur to me, but my buddy Dennis, who edits Feral now, was like, idiot, you do horror movie posters. And I was like, oh, right. And so then we did the first one. We did the Silence of the Lambs for issue 1. And then very quickly after that, it was like, oh, that is something we should be doing, all kinds of posters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
we
came
had
out
already
beautiful.
planned on doing like a B cover for every issue once we did that Silence of the Lambs one, we were like, oh, we're going to do this for every issue. And then when other people came along and wanted to do like retailer covers and incentive covers and stuff, we were like, you should do horror movie posters because it would be cool to have this be like, one day it would be like a video store shelf where you could just stock it with all stray dogs, and
Right.
at this point, good, there's like 200 of these things. So you could make, a blockbuster of stray dogs covers.
Absolutely. No, I mean, again, as a horror fan, I was like, this is amazing. And you even had a Trick or Treat, which is one of my favorite anthologies. I was like, yes, the Trick or Treat poster is just the bomb.
The Creepshow
But
one spoke to me though. Like that one was so fantastic because I remember watching Creepshow when I was a kid, and I'm like, I didn't like it because I'm not like a huge horror nerd, but like there was just something about that particular cover that just like brought me back to my childhood, being scared but like also cute.
fair enough.
So Tony, how did you tap Trish? Like, did you know her? How much of her work did you know?
Well, yeah, it's like she said, we met through both working on My Little Pony. We met at BronyCon. She had done design work for the convention. So like one of the creative things about these shows is everyone you go to, they have like a whole design staff who does like, a program and different signage. There's always an artist who's drawing like, the characters or the actors that are going to be at this thing. They'll draw like their characters so they can autograph these pictures of like, Fluttershy or whatever. And Trish was one of those, and she'd drawn me as a pony, and I didn't even realize it until after that she's the same person. But she had been, like she said, she got hired to draw some IDW stuff because our friend Sarah put her in touch with my boss at IDW. And so then I was like paying attention to her. I would always, when I go to shows, I would go walk around Artist Alley and look at everybody else's stuff because they would always be like, like better than me or as good as me. And I'll always just be like, well, how come I have this job? How come these people aren't all doing this? Because they would just be these super talents in there. And Trish was one of those people that I was like, this lady is super talented. And she had this sketchbook and I bought it. And then when I had the idea for Stray Dogs, I was looking through the sketchbook and she had this drawing of a dog in there that I was like, that's what I want it to look like. Like I want this book to look like that. And so that's how I approached her.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Drew. You had something to add to that.
So I mean, that's kind of like how I keep pitching it is because I have a lot of friends who are Disney fans. So I was like, Oliver and Company? And they're like, yeah, imagine that if it met Silence of the Lambs. They're like, oh no. I'm like, no, like, yes, it's going to break you, but it's with heart.
Yeah.
But the question I had, Tony, is that how did this like kind of come up? Because I'm always fascinated when you have these ideas that it's like in your head, like, how does this, like, it's just, you're so marveled at this shouldn't work. And yet somehow like click. So
I had been like toying around with like doing cute stuff that was also gross or sad or scary. Like I was trying to crack the case on what that was. And I had this idea about a serial killer that kidnapped people's dogs. Like basically like that was the germ of the idea was there's a serial killer, and when he takes a trophy, instead of like taking a lock of someone's hair or like jewelry or something, he takes their dogs. And so from there, it very quickly became like, all right, well then how do if I was going to tell that story, how would I do it? What's the comic book of that? And I thought about it told from like the serial killer's perspective, and that seemed like just sort of grim. And I didn't want to stick around in that person's head the whole time. And if you tell it from the cop's perspective, then it's just about like investigating and you're tracking down chips or whatever. But because I had spent so much time making My Little Pony comics and living in that sort of like anthropomorphic world filled with talking animals, I was like, well, what if it's told from the perspective of the dogs? And immediately when I thought about that, you're right on, because I did right away think like, oh, it's Oliver and Company, but with murder. Like it's Oliver and Company, but instead of thieves, the owner that has them is a killer. and they don't know about it because they're forgetting. It just all sort of like unraveled inside my head pretty quickly, to the point where like I knew what happened in the last issue. I knew what happened in the first issue, and I like, there's certain points in the comic that right away when I had the idea for the thing, I was like, oh, this happens. Earl's going to do this at the end, and then both.
Right.
Like, so yeah, it all sort of came together pretty quickly, and to the point where like by the time I went to talk to Trish about it, I had it written. Like the whole outline was done, where I could say this is the whole thing. I feel like at BronyCon when I pitched it to her, I told her about the first issue, and then soon after that we got on the phone and I just sort of walked through the entire thing.
That's awesome.
I think while we were talking on that phone call too, that's when I came up with the design for like Sophie. I'm like, yes, immediately.
Yeah, early on, we were sending back and forth. Like you would do little sketches while you're at work on notebook paper and stuff, and we would just sort of like do notes back and forth. I still have those like printouts taped in my notebook where it would be like this character like this, and it would be like sometimes we would send photographs of dogs. So yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of cool collaboration.
It took me almost like all 5 issues to get to seeing that dog was missing a leg. The Dalmatian. Yeah, until he was down in the hole, I was just like, holy shit, he's only got 3 legs.
Yeah.
Small people.
Luckily, we were smart and we were able to keep track of which leg was gone the whole time.
And Jar Jar, that dog has a name. That is Victor. Never forget Victor.
Never forget.
Horrible with names.
Never forget.
Horrible with names.
Never forget. But it was just like I said, it was just reading it. Like I was like, wow, like it just clicks so hard. And like again, I've never been a dog owner myself. The only pets I've been with is hamsters and goldfish. And right now I have 2 chinchillas. And I'm just like, wow. But I think the thing that really stuck with me was your ending, because it felt to me like a true horror ending where it's a win, but it's one of those like endings where exactly, it's a win, but it's very ominously tinged. It's like we won, but at what cost?
Right.
I literally almost said, but at what cost?
You have to say that essentially, like we won, but at what cost?
Are you talking about the end at the farmhouse or the end like the epilogue?
The epilogue.
Yeah, where the Sophie
at the park.
Oh, where they're in the future and it's
and they're playing and they kind of know each other, but they don't.
I know you.
Yeah,
I think of that as because we leave the dog's perspective at that point. Like I always think of it as sort of like a glass half empty, glass half full situation. Like we didn't tell you whether or not those dogs remember each other or what they know, but it's sort of like up to you based on where you're at, how you're feeling at the end of that story. If you think they know each other or they don't know each other.
I will say though, as much as
empty guy,
he really is. I will say, as much as Stray Dogs was like Dog Days wrecked me, because the fact that we filled in the blanks and you just see, I was just like, oh God, each of them had a story. Each one.
I thought that was great because I was wondering throughout the story. I'm like, I wonder how each of them got there and why these breeds were chosen, and like, is there a reason each breed was chosen, or was that just like we love these furry creatures? And was anybody specifically put in?
Well, I know,
why we designed them that way?
I was gonna say, my dog was there, Tony's dog was there. Certain dogs came from certain places, but a couple of the dogs were kind of random. Like Gucci, I think we wanted something that was kind of like, for Gucci, we wanted like a dog that was kind of ugly.
What a sad story, Gucci. Oh, Gucci had that sad story.
Jar, I respect your opinion, but the sad one was the dog that was in constant conflict with the cat. And then
that was really sad.
The cat,
that one. It's funny because I thought, like, reading that, I was like, man, if Stray Dogs ever crossed it, because they've done other ones where animals that talk and solve things. And I thought of Evan Dorkin and Jill Thompson's Beasts of Burden. And I was like, man, they did a crossover with this. But I remember because I met Jill once and I had her sign my Beast of Burden, and they had this one where this boy can turn into a werewolf. So because he's a werewolf, he can understand the animals. And there's a point where he dies. And sorry, everybody, spoiler, but it's been out for years. So if you missed it, whatever, you'll forget. You're all dogs. He dies, and she showed me. She was like, "Yeah, on this page, I cried as I was doing this." So that smudge was a tear, and I'm just like, "Holy crap! Like what? Like was there like Trish when you were drawing it? Did you have to? I need a break."
No, that was during. What was it? Issue 4? Was it issue 4 or 3 at the end where Victor goes to the shed?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, me at the end with a glass of wine, like, oh God, people are gonna hate us so bad.
I think until right now, I was still believing that he didn't get shot. I mean, we saw the head and everything, but like, I was just hoping that it wasn't Victor and he got away.
Jar
and died of natural causes.
Yeah, it's like in Star Wars, like if you don't see them die, did they really die?
Jar, take it from Tony, who with the white beard has that Santa Claus look. Yeah, he didn't make it. Okay, Santa is like, no, like calm down. But we will remember him.
That was like the worst. That was, and for me, that was like my first time drawing anything like that. And even if it does happen off screen, it's still like the most iconic thing. Like the most iconic scene in the whole story to me is that like series, like before and after.
Yeah.
That those feelings like that you have before and after that moment, I'm just like, wow. And every time I read it, I just go like, God, Tony, are you all right, buddy? Like,
I just read it yesterday because we're doing a thing with it, and I remember when I was writing it. This is so corny because everybody's like talking about when they get choked up or whatever. But when I was writing it and I had the outline, so I knew what was happening on the page, but I didn't have. There's a panel where Victor tries to rub his head on the master's leg to be friendly to him, and it's fucking. Like when I wrote it, I was like, "This sucks. This hurts my feelings," And then when she drew it, it was so heartbreaking. And that like that panel when it leads into the rest of that sequence is rough.
Yeah, but then he leaned into it, and then my notes on the script on page 5 were "Kill him, Trish." Kill him.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we did.
I'm so glad you did that off screen though, because
for sure.
Oh yeah,
right.
for sure. That was like a Bambi's mom situation. There was no way we could put that on. There was no way.
Yeah.
You captured, and I love it that you captured their expressions so well, and the anthropomorphizing of them into human, but also kept them as dogs and their postures and the way they stand, the way that they can move and stuff. It was just remarkable, the art that you did with that. I thank you.
Oh no, thank you.
Thank you for the squirrel. But did you when it came to things with like how the dog's memories worked, because like the scent, oh wait, I remember my my owner and my lady, and back and forth with that. Did you do a bit of studying with that, or that was something I was interested in?
I had so I had the idea for the thing, and part of the idea was based on my dog at the time, Juno, who was just the biggest, dumbest idiot. Like she just never remembered a thing. We would go on walks and like we always went the same route every day, but every day she just wandered around aimlessly. Like she had no idea where we're going, And so I was always just like, how can you not remember and so that was sort of where my head was at. And so the idea was, all right, well, these dogs don't have great memories. And so I read into it and I read as far as I sort of did confirmation bias, where like I looked for the one article that said dogs do not have great memories. I read enough of it that I was like, all right, cool, this works for my story. And then I immediately got out there before I had something come along and ruin it for me. But then we made the whole story and it came out, and I was at WonderCon this year and they did a panel about dogs in pop culture, and they had dog trainers on there. One of them trained like search and rescue dogs, and one trained cadaver dogs. And the search and rescue dog guy had read the book, and he was like, he teaches like at colleges too about like dog training and about dog psychology and stuff. And he was like, that's exactly how their minds work. They don't hold on to memories for longer than 20 seconds. So like they have instincts, you know, like they remember for safety, they remember like where they sleep and where their food is and who you are and stuff like that. But as far as like the things that happen around them, they don't hold on to that type of stuff. So at the time when I was making it, I was like, I'm probably making their memories a little shorter so that this works, you know, so that the format of the story works. But apparently I was making their memories much longer than they actually are, you know, like they were,
They were giving them way too much credit.
Yeah, they're dumber than I even thought.
There you go.
So who at Image did you guys pitch this to that they were like, yeah, let's make this? Like, how did that go?
So I'm friends with Kyle Higgins, who makes Radiant Black. He was putting that book together at the time, and he's tight with Eric Stevenson at Image. And I had told him the pitch of Stray Dogs was like, while I was putting the story together, I would talk to other writers that I know and just go and like pitch it to him. And Kyle was helpful in like having ideas about characters and stuff. Like he's real sharp when it comes to character, like one of the sharpest people I know as far as like, you tell somebody a story and then he can just go, oh, this, he can zero in on a pinpoint a thing where he goes, you should do this right here. You know, he's just super good with it. I would say that he's generous with it, although he's very hard to get a hold of sometimes. So I feel like maybe he's tired of giving me great notes all the time. But with Stray Dogs, he was like, if it's cool, can I show this to Eric Stevenson? And so like it was hey buddy. He was going down to Comic-Con, and I had a PDF of the pitch and I sent it to him on Dropbox, and he just showed it to Eric Stevenson like at dinner. Accidentally, he says, like he was just going to bring up something else that he was working on. I think it's Deep Cuts, his jazz comic that's coming out now. And he was going to show that to Eric, and ours was open, and Eric was like, oh, what's that? And he explained it to him, and he said, he basically gave the pitch to this dog who tells these other dogs in this house that their master killed her owner and kidnapped her, and he's a serial killer that takes dogs. And then Eric Stevenson was like, are all the other dogs also trophies from the serial killer? And he's like, yes, they are. And he's like, well, we'll publish that. So that was cool.
That's great.
It sort of took all the stress out of it. I didn't have to go in front of somebody and like show it to them. I just showed up and they were like, yeah, we'd love to do this, which was great. And just coming from, you know, kids comics and having no experience with Image, I didn't imagine, like I grew up loving Image comics. And so I didn't imagine that it would be something where I could just sort of, we could make this thing and walk it right in there, but it sort of worked out like that. And thank God, because, you know, we own it 100%. It's at the place where you get the most eyes on it. People trust that logo. You know, it's a weird concept. So if this book came out from like Joe Schmo Comics, you'll be like, it's what? It's dogs, you know? But if it has an Image logo on it, you're like, well, it must be all right. You know, they don't put out bullshit.
Very true.
Totally.
You mentioned in one of the comic notes that you wrote in that you'd been asked before if you could work on any project, what would it be? And that it's what you're doing now and what you've been writing because you're in the creator-owned side of things. What do you think of all? There have been a lot of movements towards more creator ownership lately, and how do you think that's working for the comic book industry and for the creators, of course?
It works good for the creators. I don't know how it's working for the comic book industry. I think it makes sense in the long run for the comic book industry to invest in creators because they're the one, like the books that we make, we own them. We have a vested interest in making them the best possible thing. You know, we don't just own a million different superhero properties and we're just trying to figure out what to do with them every month for shareholders or whatever, you know? So I feel like all of the great success stories that you hear about in comics, almost all of them are somebody makes their own comic, bets on themselves, you know, because Trish and I don't get paid to make Stray Dogs or Feral until the book comes out, you know. So we've basically been making Feral for free for like 3 years, paying people to color it and to, you know, draw covers for it and stuff like that. But what that means is that we're invested in it and we aren't messing around and we're making the best possible, you know, comic we can make. So I feel like that's the kind of stuff that I like in comics. I mean, I still read superhero comics. I like all kinds of comics, but as far as like, I mean, that thing you're talking about that I wrote is like, I always know that I'm getting the pure thing from somebody when it's the one that they own, you know? And if they do the pure thing on something they don't own, you know, like when I read a Tom King DC comic, it feels just as personal as when I read his, you know, creator owned stuff. Like that's the kind of guy that really gets hard no matter what. But there are other ones where you can tell like this one, they really meant it. And so I'm always trying to do the one where it feels like you really mean it.
So kind of turning on to Feral for both of you, like this is a little different than Stray Dogs because it's not a limited series, it's an ongoing series. And on top of it, you know, before it was, you know, Oliver Company meets Hannibal. So now this is the Aristocats meets Night of the Living Dead. So kind of totally different. Like I mean, again, with an ongoing series, you guys have to probably plot that out in advance. So what's been like the challenges, both fun and whatnot, in doing Feral? Especially side note, Feral 2, everyone, coming out tomorrow. So
tomorrow.
Go to your LCS if you can't read. So.
And if you missed issue 1, the second printing of issue 1 will be there too. That comes out tomorrow also.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
Is it getting a special cover?
Yeah,
it's got
Halloween cover.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Hey.
Indeed.
Hey. Or tomorrow.
Either way.
Halloween.
Oh,
Never way.
Happy birthday in October.
It's everything.
This is a completely different like telling the story. We're doing it completely differently than we did on Stray Dogs. Like the genre that we're in is different. I mean, it's still horror, but it's a different sort of like avenue in the horror genre, doing like a zombie infection story. But whereas Stray Dogs, like you said, Stray Dogs was a limited series. It was a finished thing, and this one we're keeping it open and just letting it run for hopefully as long as we can go. We know, like I know what happens at the end of this thing, but like I said,
I was going to ask that.
Don't.
Oh no, I wasn't going to ask him to tell us what happens at the end. I just wanted to know, like, do you know where it ends?
Yeah, no, we know what happens at the end. But the call I had with Trish where I told her like the whole outline of Stray Dogs, we haven't had a call like that because so much of this is sort of like not improvisational, but like we know where a lot of the big beats are, but there is parts in between where we're allowing ourselves to sort of like get into it and have fun making the comic and find the stories that comes. So like Trish and I were just doing a signing tour on the East Coast. Like we got to hang out in person and go on these long car rides together. And so we could just sit there and sort of like talk story and talk ideas and stuff. So like the first arc, we're all done drawing that. We're working on the second arc right now. And we've got the third arc like sketched out pretty good. And there are these sort of like beats that we know we're going to hit. But unlike Stray Dogs, where it was all very like tightly plotted, this one is a lot more improvisational and has a lot more room for us to get creative and come up with new stuff on the fly.
The personalities of the cats seem bigger too.
These cats remember stuff, you know. They hold grudges. Yeah. These cats are, you know, I like playing with the different aspects of them. Like, you know, that the cats, you know, they remember things. They hold grudges. They have resentments. They, you know, they do things they regret. You know, stuff like that. That's really interesting. In that, you know, we didn't have to do that with the dogs. The dogs were so innocent and sweet.
Well, and also there were like 10 dogs, and there's only three of these main cats to start with. And so we were able to take our 3 lead cats and sort of make each one of them different like have different aspects of what a cat's like. So like
Mhm.
like Lord is the kind of cat that is like full of energy and zoomy and like and anxiety and seems like completely careless. And then Elsie's the kind of cat that's like the quiet one. She like when company comes over,
The
she goes
broody
into the
one.
other room and she hangs out over there. You've got one of those.
No, yeah. It was like you're describing. I was like me. The quiet one's Harry, and the one who'll get bitten is clearly Leo. You know, and Jar's the wild card. You know, he can go either way. He just shows up. It's like, all right, let's do this. Let's kill these bitches. Let's go. You know.
Well, what's fun about this book too is that we like every issue we sort of introduce new cats and we introduce new, like new locations and scenarios and stuff. Like it's whereas Stray Dogs all happened inside this house with this cast, this sort of like closed off cast of characters. The fun of this book too is that it's outdoors and anyone can come along at any time. And so yeah, we're able to like we're doing it a lot differently, but we're able to really get into different areas that we weren't able to on Stray Dog.
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like Farrell's is some Game of Thrones level stuff. Like, I don't want to get attached to anybody because just next issue.
Well, that's what I'm ready to ask Trish. Like, what issue should we watch out for that, like, somebody,
all of
you're going to break our hearts?
No, see, like all of them, but like also, I've been drawing things in this book that I've never drawn before. Like, I've never drawn bloody, gory, like, animals attacking other animals. I've never drawn that before. So like to draw it here for the first time for everybody to see, please don't judge me too hard, is
Doing great.
It's really cool, but also really scary because this is like a more in your face kind of story. Whereas I feel like, I mean, there are layers. Obviously, Tony is a very complicated man who creates a very, complex weave of storytelling. But like on the surface, like this is way more in your face than Stray Dogs was. Like Stray Dogs is just, it's very cerebral, and this is more action, fast paced. Every issue reads fast, but it's also like it's meant to because, they're just constantly building. This whole first arc, y'all are gonna be blown away. But by the end of it, I want to have a reunion at the end of this so that we can all get our thoughts together, so we all have the same thought that I had. But I'm not going to share that right now because I don't need to spoil it all for you.
I think it sort of works.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think it sort of works backwards from Stray Dogs, where Stray Dogs was sort of like a slow build. Like you start out in this thing and you slowly reveal what it is. And then by the end of it, you're just in this action-packed, like it's like a race. And Farrell sort of starts that way. Like it kicks off and you're thrown into the middle of this thing. And then by the time we get to the end of the first arc, we sort of like start to unravel things and peel back character and sort of like then we're getting into like the more personal stuff, which I feel like Stray Dogs sort of started off as. I don't know. You'll tell me.
Yes, by the end of the first arc, when the trade paperback comes out, I want to see if everybody's thought process is the same as mine. We'll circle back.
Trish has ideas. She's got notes.
I have notes.
Barry, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
You can interrupt me like
you have to cue me every time you sent a script, throwing my phone across the room like me.
Why do you do this to me every
waking
time?
up at 6:30, to see a new script going, okay, oh shit,
Now that you're doing it as an ongoing, how do you keep the world building straight? Like, I myself have one of the worst memories in the world for anybody, I think. But like, do you have like a room where you have, all right, this storyboards and everything shows you everything, or is it all just like up in the head?
I have a document that has the outline in it, but a lot of it does live inside my head. And doing as many books as I'm doing right now, it does feel crazy trying to keep it all straight. So like, I work in Google Maps.
Say you're working on like 4 books right now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, 6 books, 4 books that you guys know about.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, it's like I work in Google Docs and I open up, I'll be working on something and then I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot this thing's supposed to happen. So then I'll have to open up another outline and go like, all right, remember to have him. Remember in Bill and Ted where they would just like,
Oh yeah,
remember to go back in time and give that guy $1.
Yeah, I have to leave myself little notes.
To remember to wind your watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to dork out for a second, Tony, you said you work in Google Docs. I don't know if you saw Google has a new note tool. I forgot the name of it, but essentially you put all your documents within it. It's an AI tool, but it doesn't go out to the internet. So there's no, I forgot what the term was. Yeah, so it only uses AI against your documents. So like if you're looking for information off of something you wrote, you just store everything in there, and then it's like Chat GPT, but just with your stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like takes your notes and like formats them and turns them into outlines and stuff. It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Write it down. And then burn it.
So you would just like put it up in like I could just feature his office, a bunch of red lines going back and forth.
I was just thinking that. Just a bunch of crazy person, red room just comes in and be like, wow, this is how you work.
I just schedule my week. I'm like,
yeah, man.
Follow the line. Where do we have to go next?
So I have a silly question to ask because you guys did a lot of road tripping because I actually got to meet both of you on your signing tour. Thank you again. It was awesome meeting both of you at Oh Yeah Comics. I'm embarrassed because I realized because I had you sign one of the trade paperbooks I had, and then I was like, wait a second, I have the prologue. I didn't have them actually sign Stray Dogs. I was like, God, how did I not realize this? I'm such an idiot. But
we weren't going to say anything.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But road tripping, what is the preferred snack that you guys like? If you're pulling over, as like, we got to have this. Like, that's your like as you're driving, you're like, all right, let me just sunflower seeds.
I just kind of pedal to the metal like the whole time. But I brought donuts and I brought breakfast. Like that was
breakfast sandwiches were good.
Yeah.
We basically were like road tripping from one heavy meal to another, so there wasn't a lot of snacking in between.
Oh, okay.
If I'm snacking on the road, here's what I'm grabbing. I'll get a sugar-free Red Bull. I'll get a water because then you feel like that's healthy. Then I'll get maybe a trail mix, something like banana chips, and then if I'm getting candy, I only get peanut M&Ms at the movies. I will get those. Nerds that are also gummies, where it has like the gummies that have nerds all over them.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good. All right.
I'm a chips girl.
Let someone let Kari talk.
No.
Sorry, Kari.
I'm waiting for her to try again.
Trish. I'm just like,
It's okay.
No, one other thing I wanted to ask that I saw when I was reading the comics, and it was an advertisement, and then I looked and I couldn't find it. I saw that it was advertising for something called Crosshairs to be coming out in 2022, and then I never. Can you tell? Is that something you can talk about, or?
Sure. Yeah, it is
not for it myself.
You didn't miss it. It is a book that I'm doing with my buddy Chris Moreno. It's part of this sort of like petsploitation, Stray Dogs, feral, like genre comics with pets. And it's a story about a rabbit. It's like a rabbit revenge story, basically. A guy gets turned into a rabbit and then has to get revenge when he's shaped like a rabbit. But if we play it very straight, and it's sort of like this, just like Stray Dogs, it's like very cute things and very gory things happening together. But in classic Image Comics fashion, we got way ahead of ourselves and advertised it before it was even started. And then my buddy Chris and his wife had a baby, and they moved to Santa Clarita, and so he works full time in animation. So we're just waiting for his kid to get old enough to go to school, and then we'll probably get after it and get that thing done. Jesus Christ, Baxter.
Is your manager letting you know we're coming up
Sounds like,
on 10
time
minutes?
to wrap
Like,
it up.
whoop, whoop. Come on, feeding time. I gotta walk. Come on. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Leo, do you have anything? I feel like you haven't said a thing, buddy.
I've said a couple things.
I know, but I'm proud of you because normally this is that time you're like, well, I have a 4-part question that I'd like to ask both of you.
I'm trying to restrain for that.
Yeah. Because listen, Trish, this is what he will do. It's like, so I have some questions. I wanted them to. So, what are you watching recently? Are you on Blue Sky?
Don't forget the hobby.
Well, oh yeah. Do you have any hobbies? And hold on, wait. Let me just. I feel like I should have my glasses on, so I should just like. And what are we reading? I was just like.
Oh, watching too. Yes.
Yeah. Kari, did I miss any? I feel like that's the Leo questionnaire. Like.
What do you geek out over?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
right. Yeah. So, sorry, Leo. We Leo'd you. So sorry, buddy.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, feel free to take any of those questions if you'd like.
I geek out over Disney crap literally all the time. Period. Disney stuff. You know,
Really?
Nice.
I geek out over it.
What's your? Do you collect it? Or
Oh,
well,
yeah,
I see all
like,
the
okay.
stuffies behind you.
I mean, you see all the stuff. Like, look at that. That's
Oh,
the
there's
best.
pops up there too.
Oh, that's some Care Bears
There's a
right
bird.
there.
There's some Pops Care Bears. There's some Care Wares. That was a Kickstarter that I backed.
Yeah, I was wondering what those were.
Oh yeah, that was a Kickstarter that I backed. She designed like
Care
little
Wares.
werewolf Care Bears, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm on it.
Oh boy,
I'll take all of them.
Kari,
And
get the beats.
we've got, Tauntaun. There's a Tauntaun there. But also there's like Daisy and a whole bunch of Pokemon and
That is just bright. Like I feel like I think I have sunglasses. I feel like that's the only way I can look at that.
I mean, I like bright colored things and I like Disney stuff. So like,
I have to say too, I've watched probably like 20 interviews you guys have done over the past week or so, and your hair changes in all of them, Trish.
Yeah, isn't it beautiful? Like today, I mean, I just got it done last week, so we're
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was like, look at this Paramore do right here. Like, look him. It's a misery business right there. I was like, okay, cool. And then also, Tony, I wanted to say, because when I met you, you showed me some advanced images from Uncanny Valley, which I know has come out since then. Issue 1 was awesome. And definitely loving that, especially the kind of Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque aspect to it, which was hilarious, especially the kids falling off the bridge and I was like, oh, I broke my leg. I fell through the floor. This didn't happen to you guys? Like, what? Like this, the whole thing. I'm just like, I think that's the other thing is I feel like you guys have a really good way of like, when to show something and when to talk about it, because I feel some people it's very imbalanced where it's like, we're going to show you everything. I was like, yeah, but sometimes we don't have time. We have 22 pages. Okay.
And also the theater of the mind. The theater of the mind is very powerful. What images it can make up on its own when you don't show people stuff.
Well, that's like the prevailing wisdom in comics is that you're always supposed to show, don't tell, right? Like you have images here, so don't just say it, when you can show it, which most of the time I agree with. But there are times I think for storytelling where it is more fun to tell it and leave it up to the reader's imagination. Because it's not like, I mean, you look at Uncanny Valley and Dave Wachter could have drawn anything I wrote down, so like nobody's worried about that. It's just a matter of like, it sort of is fun to tease out a mystery that way, where you can sort of just give people a little bit and let them put it together for themselves. And hopefully by the time the twist in that issue happens, you're just like, oh, right. Now it all lines up,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Brill Pro actually asks a good question. They haven't put it up, but I also heard this too. Are we still getting the film adaptation?
Adaptation.
So it's probably not going to be a Paramount. We are actively working on stuff with this. It will be something at some point, but it's Hollywood, very complicated Much more complicated than comics, where it's just me and Trish and Tone and Brad can put a comic out whenever we feel like it. Like a movie is a lot of details and moving parts and contracts and stuff. So we're working on it, literally working on it tomorrow. So it'll be something at some point.
Trust me, when that movie comes out, we are going to plug the hell out of it. We're going to be like, we met those guys. We talked about it before it was a thing. Insider deets.
Name dropping.
Yeah, but I did have to ask, because I always kind of wonder because I was going to ask that too. I had no idea. Do you guys cast the voices for, like, when you think the animals, do you hear like actors, like you're like, oh my God, this person would be perfect for them? Did you have like, do you cast them in your head? Do you hear like specific people? Like you're like, that person would be perfect for Vince, like heartbreakingly, like, damn. Like, do either of you hear those?
I never really thought of any voices when I was drawing it. Like, I just thought, like, Sophie's a small character. She should have a smaller voice, or a soft voice. Or like, in the case of Feral. Now, there's only one character that I actually thought of a voice for Feral, and he's a new character in issue 2, Jonas. And I thought, Sam Elliott for sure, like cowboy, like typical, like, barn cat kind of thing for me. But like, no, nobody's voice actually comes to my head.
Okay.
If I think of it, just because, I didn't want to like bring that person's attributes into like how I acted the characters either, because some people have different mannerisms,
Fair enough.
I hear different voices when I write them, but like not actual like tone or timbre. Like I just hear like the different like cadences, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't really cast them in my head. We did a trailer for both Stray Dogs and for Feral to promote them, and in the Stray Dogs one, we had My Little Pony people play both the Elsie voice, or the Sophie voice, and the Rusty voice. So it was Nicole Oliver, who plays Princess Celestia in My Little Pony. She's the voice of Sophie in the trailer, and my buddy Ian Corlett, who also was the voice of Goku on Dragon Ball Z.
Whoa, awesome.
Voice of Rusty in that trailer, and then he came back and helped us out on the Feral trailer too. He plays like a animal control.
Yeah, the walkie-talkie voice.
Yeah, he's walkie-talkie voice.
Where can we see those?
They're all on YouTube. Like just type in
fantastic.
Straight Up.
Those up after.
Yeah,
awesome.
Very cool. Well, we definitely want to be respectful of your time, so
Yes.
we're going to wrap things up here for you. And we'll kick it over to Tony first. Where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
I'm everywhere. I am on Blue Sky. I am on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I'm on TikTok. So literally anywhere you want to find me, come find me.
Gotcha.
I'm all over the place at Tony Fleece, and you can go to my website, tonyfleece.com. There's original art for sale there, but you can also sign up for my newsletter, which is where I'll tell you about this book and about Uncanny Valley and Local Man and Army of Darkness and everything else.
Awesome. And what about you, Trish?
I'm at Trish Forstner on everything: Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on TikTok, but I don't post TikToks. I just repost Tony's TikToks. I'm good at watching TikToks, not making them.
What a great fan.
Yeah. So that's that you find me everywhere. I have a website that is disgustingly outdated. animatedvisions.com. Disgustingly outdated.
Doesn't even know about
Go there
Stray
if you want to go back in time. There's nothing on that website before or like it's like My Little Pony, and that's where I stopped.
What we do have for everybody watching, we do have a lot of links in the show notes, so definitely check them up above and below. So Tony and Trish, I want to thank you again for your time this evening.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us. This was great.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you back. After you finish the first arc of Feral, definitely, get you both back here.
Yeah, I'll need notes. I'll need everybody's notes. We all need to compare notes.
We'll go in. Like we'll analyze. We'll bring the book.
Paperback reading party, and then we will discuss our notes afterwards. Like that would be fun.
Oh yeah,
sounds good. So all I ask is we're recording all the cameras individually. So if you hit the leave studio button, it'll prompt you to go to a uploads page. If you don't mind going to that and then finishing the upload, and then we do some post editing afterwards. Awesome. But that way we have your raw video and audio.
Okie dokie.
Sounds great. Thank you guys very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Yes, indeed. But
love those guys.
And you. And you.
And
I almost
all of
pointed
you
in the right direction for all of them.
Yeah.
You guys fucking rock.
20 interviews? Man, you do good work, Jar.
I was exaggerating a little bit. They did a lot of interviews together though. Probably like
I did
close to 10.
I did have a story point I wanted to tell them, but I decided not to.
What was the story? Was it?
So back at the old farmhouse.
Oh no! Save it for the next time they're on the show, okay?
Hey, it's in my brain, so I got to get rid of it. So I'm sorry. So
okay. Whoa, we're gonna let you tell this, but then we're going straight to the news.
Oh, totally.
This is the banter time. So go. Better be good, buddy.
Oh no, it's not good. But anyway, the my grandparents' old farmhouse, the one that was above us. So somebody was renting it out. They had a bunch of cats, and then they moved out. They left the cats. So as you know, cats breed. There was a ton of feral cats up around that farmhouse, and we could tell when
you shot them.
No, we didn't shoot them. We just
Did
let
you
them
feed them to the snakes?
No, but obviously we could tell when a predator was prowling, because they would slowly dwindle in population. So yeah, it was either coyotes or the most likely it was the mountain lion that I saw.
Okay, time out.
Mountain lion.
Listen. Listen, Leo Crockett. This is very important. For the love of God, write all of this down, because nobody will ever believe this shit and make it into a comic. And I will be the first one to say, called it. Okay? Could you tell me these things? And I'm just like, I'm just a poor boy in Westchester, New York. And I'm just like, nobody does this.
Poor boy.
Yes. He's from a poor boy from a white class family. Spare him the shit with your snakeosity. Can we do the news now? It's almost 9:30.
Yeah, we can totally do the news.
Listen, when we finally write Splash Pages the musical, it's going to be amazingly easy that we, it's going to be one of those things. And trust me and Kari very slowly are working on this.
The problem is we have a lot of songs halfway done.
Yeah. Especially because me and Kari have discovered that we both enjoy musicals. So anytime we're like, oh, this is a favorite, like she's like, oh my God, I love Fiddler. And I'm like, if I was a rich man, all the comics, all the covers, all the comics in the shop, all 42 variant covers, especially by Lieber Ho.
Leo Pond.
Exactly.
Just one last thing. I just wanted to ask, what did everybody think of the Deadpool trailer?
Amazing.
Great.
Jar. The second we're done with this show, spare yourself the time. Watch it and realize how fucking amazing that movie's going to be. Yeah.
No, I have no doubt that it's going to be a good movie. I'm just I
There's so
mean,
much in there, and I'm
That's
so
why I'm
ready.
worried. I don't want to see all of it.
Well,
No,
not it doesn't spoil anything. I mean, it does show some things, but it was,
it's just nice seeing Hugh Jackman curse again as Wolverine.
oh yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can tell it's leaving a lot to the imagination. I'm sure other trailers will show more, but I mean, we know it's happening in the void, so most of it shows just the void, not the noid, the void.
Thank you. Good call. Good distinction. All right. So why don't we now that we've used all our banter time, why don't we just get to the news? Okay, before we start the news, I need to point something out that I'm getting frustrated on. Every time I feel like I do the variant watch, I have like 16 billion covers. The rest of you, 1 or 4.
Thank God.
You know what? Next, you know what, Jar? I'm gonna remember that next time.
Oh no,
Okay?
please don't. Like I don't know why I get so much anxiety over doing variant watch, but like for some
It's
reason
because you could never be a lifeguard. You're straight out of Amity. Okay, that's what it is. You know. All right, no, Carrie, I just had to say that because I'm a comic book petty person like that. So you go, hon.
All right. Bam. All right.
Bam.
So, announced last week, Stephanie Phillips and Alessandro Miracolo's series Phoenix will cover the story of Jean Grey as she goes off on a solo mission through the universe, embracing her power as the Phoenix Force. This is part of the Marvel Rise from the Ashes event following the fall of Krakoa, and these are going to be available on August 17th. The covers being shown are, first off here, this one is done by AKA, Aka, I'm not sure.
Also known as?
Yeah. The next one is by Rose Besh.
Wow.
And yeah, that one's gorgeous. I mean, not that the other one was bad, but I really enjoy this one as well. And then the last one is Greg Land's take on Dark Phoenix. So
yeah, sounds about right.
The font on the Phoenix is reminiscent of old Cyclops and Phoenix, or was it Cyclops and Phoenix?
Yeah, it's got a 90s retro feel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, those are going to be available August 17th. Go
birthday
now.
Happy birthday, Leo.
Happy birthday.
There you go.
Covers.
All right, so we did that.
See, Leo, you got to come back on to Owlite Society so you can share more Leo stories. We need more Leo Pond.
Yeah, nobody knows about the mountain lion.
Yeah, dipping. Yeah, you can call that segment "Dipping in the Pond." Okay.
The funny thing about that is my dad said I was full of shit until he saw it himself.
They always do, Leo.
It was massive too. Like the head to tail when I was driving home one night.
Your door opening behind you.
Oh,
write this down.
Your door was moving just a second ago.
Might be Megan bringing me my pill.
Okay, because I saw the door moving and I was like, the lion came back. It came it's like the end of Christine. The car comes back to continue its vengeance.
I didn't even notice the office is starting to have less boxes around it.
Yeah, and pretty soon you'll be able to see the comics. And I got a neon strip light to go around the comics.
I thought this horrible irony that you get this all done, you guys are doing great, and then you're all done, you're like, wow, this is great. And you go to pick something up, and that's when you throw out your back. Ooh. I would be like, oh God, the irony.
Don't say that. I haven't had a chance to go to the chiropractor in over a week. So
be careful with the strip lights, by the way, because check this out.
Nope.
When I turn it on, it starts whining. Oh. It's just that noise. Yeah.
Oh, I hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Watch which ones you get. Don't shirk on the price on those, because I did, and now I can't use them.
Ah.
All right. So with that in mind,
Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to be showing, hopefully my wife is listening, a video that's 28 seconds long so she can run in here and give me my pill. And I'm going to start it right now.
Drew's News. Exciting tales, fresh comic views. In the pages, heroes fly, villains plot under the sky. From Gotham's dark to Metropolis views, we cover stories old and new. Drew's News. Your daily source for comic clues. Join the fun as heroic crew in the world of Drew's Comics News.
Excelsior!
She just made it.
Makes me think of my gnome when I hear that voice. It's like, in the world of Drew's Comic News.
I played the longer one just to give her a few extra seconds.
Fair enough. So the news. So what's up first in the world of Drew's news?
Yeah, what's going on in Drew's news world?
Shut up, Lee. Me and Jeremy.
Whoever I
He's
am.
going senile.
I just saw gingers with glasses and I got confused. Oh, is this Jar?
This is me in Werewolf by Night. Jack Russell takes center stage. All right, this summer, brace yourself for a thrilling ride as Werewolf by Night plunges into a daring new escapades filled with intense violence and gore. Exclusively presented in Marvel's daring Red Band format. In Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell is the lead, and penned by Jason Liu, the creative mind behind the upcoming Werewolf by Night Blood Hunt that we probably have shown.
Yes,
one shot in illustrated.
Blood Hunt's coming out.
Yeah, you haven't.
Yes, Leo. Next month, the horror begins.
And illustrated by the talented artist Sergio Davila. Renowned for his bold artwork in titles like Venom and Thor, Marvel's iconic horror figure will undergo a shocking transformation during Blood Hunt, setting the stage for battles and hunts too graphic for some readers to handle. Emblazoned with the parental advisory label and securely polybagged to shield the faint-hearted from its visceral intensity, Werewolf by Night promises to carve a fresh path in the character's 50 years storytelling legacy as Jack unleashes his claws, fangs, and fur in a blood-drenched frenzy like never before. Under the rise of the full moon, prepare for Werewolf by Night carnage. Jack Russell's quest for a simple existence is shattered in the aftermath of the Blood Hunt, thrusting him into a perilous and tumultuous journey he never saw coming. With new adversaries hungry for his flesh and Jack's trust in his old allies and a lost love wavering, the original Werewolf by Night finds himself in the ultimate battle for survival. This summer, I don't have an exact date.
August 15th.
August 15th. Look at Drew on
14th. 14th, but yeah, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. I got you, buddy.
Do these really need to be polybagged?
You know what? I'm waiting to understand what's really going on. I honestly think it's just it's the new
90s all over again.
Yeah,
it really is.
It really is. But honestly, listen, I'm all for more horror comics and pushing the envelope. But it's never going to be, Carrie. It's never going to be Midnight Suns, Morbius level gore, And I know you miss those days.
Yes, I do.
I can't wait for it to drop so I can take a peek and see what is so
you can understand, right? What is so gory and evil?
This has two vibes going for me. One is Teen Wolf with the cover, and then Werewolves of London because his hair is perfect.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah,
very nice. He's well washed.
Yeah, it just looks like Teen Wolf coming off of a really rough basketball practice or something. Where he's just I got the shirt a little torn up there.
All right, so so hopefully, Jar, like you said, it's worth the effort to bag it. So
This
Tom
isn't.
Dog.
They're also bagging another
Tom?
one we were talking.
Hold
Yeah, that was bad.
Tom, you congratulations, you get the first one of the night. Get out.
I'm going to earn the second one, so I was just going to say, so if a werewolf uses gel, do they need to buy in bulk?
Get out. Next for the news, please. Oh, this is me. So most recently, this has been something that's been discussed, but it's been officially confirmed that we will be seeing a sequel to Spider-Man Reign. Kari Sanders' creator series, which remember in 2006, is essentially the Dark Knight Returns for Spider-Man, which was considered a somewhat controversial arc because not only did at one point in one version we saw some of Peter Parker's, let's say, physical web shooter. There was also a somewhat controversial scene where we learned that Mary Jane, his then deceased wife, who was apparently haunting him, may have passed away because of things that they did in the bedroom. Let's just say shared web fluid. So essentially, this series is now seeing a part 2. This July, Andrews will be returning to this with a 5-issue limited series showing the older, grizzled Peter Parker, essentially what he's been doing since we last saw him. And that things apparently haven't got any easier. It's still bleak as shit in this future, but we're going to see an all-new Black Cat. We're going to see now what happened to this universe's version of Miles Morales. So some call it one of the most infamous Spider-Man stories ever made. Having owned and met the creator, I don't know if I would say that. I definitely think it is a tragic and somewhat dark absurdity to it, but it's creative and it's bold. And from what I understand of what Kari Sanders said, he's psyched to be kind of coming back to it and kind of challenging this idea of personal power and responsibility. So that's coming out July 3rd this year. Kari Sanders will be doing all of that, and that right there with Miles Morales clutching the tombstone is a play on the first issue of the first series. So so that's happening. So I guess now we have seen everything.
Or we will.
I don't know, you guys. This was a weird one. Like, I've read it, and I'm not gonna lie, some of it resonated with me. But yeah, you kind of got to read it to understand. So maybe we'll add that to our list.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So July this year, Spider-Man Reign 2.
Part 2.
And the next.
Wolverine, the rabbit.
This is you, Leo.
Yeah, I'm just moving this so I can actually see it. Holy crap. There we go.
Yes,
Okay.
Jar, 'cause Chris Claremont hasn't had enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's 35 years later. Chris Claremont is going to be letting us in on a missing moment from X-Men history. So Chris
Slipped his
Claremont,
mind.
what's that, Jar?
This just slipped his mind back then.
I know. He totally forgot all about it. So Chris Claremont, if you haven't guessed, he's done a little bit of work on X-Men. So he's back with another Wolverine story. This one takes us back to the good old days when Claremont was writing for the X-Men in Wolverine Deep Cut. Claremont teams with artist Edgar Salazar to tell a story set in the Outback era of the X-Men when they are based in Australia. So this limited series spans 4 issues and is set just before the Reavers attack the X-Men in 1989. Wolverine will face off against his longtime foe, Sabretooth, and Claremont fills in a story gap that fans have been curious about for years. Here's the official synopsis. So out of the Outback on, I don't know if I should say this with an Aussie accent or not.
Oh, definitely.
But nah.
Out of the outback with a life and death mission, Logan sets off to the outback, leaving behind what was left of the X-Men for a mysterious mission. After decades of mystery, Chris Claremont reveals just what Wolverine got up before his unforgettable battle with the Reavers. Featuring sinister revelations and claw-to-claw confrontations with Sabretooth, this is an ideal entry point for Wolverine's story for new and long-time fans alike that can simply not miss it. Dongo. I got you, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you. So Wolverine Deep Cut goes on sale July 3rd, and the cover is by Philip Tan.
Nice. I want to Leo, I just want to say I apologize to all of our 3 Australian viewers and the market that we just alienated with that horrible impression. But at the same time, the X-Men were in the outback. I mean, it was a pretty interesting time.
I mean, they'll forgive you. Our biggest Australian name is Crocodile Dundee here. So.
I'm just briefly before I just can't believe we're still like there's still stories to tell from Claremont's era. Like we already had Madripoor Nights, which is still I think still going, or we're gonna wrap up soon. So you have that, and then this. I'm just like, there were parts missing from your story, Chris. Like, wasn't he with the book for like 12, 13 years?
Some craziness.
Something like that. Like,
well, you know, it's nostalgia sells, you know, so it's
every day
he can keep on coming up with stories. People are going to buy it and they're going to love it. And, you know, you're bringing us back to the 89, you know, so pre 90s.
Leo, if we're able to get an interview with him this year at Terrific Con, make sure you recharge the camera first, because you know it'll be, can we ask you a few questions? 3 hours later. And that's what I decided to use Jean Grey for. It's like,
what was the question again, sir?
And we'll love every second of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. What's next?
Next up.
Oh, Kari.
All right. Yes. This September, Boom Studios is going to be bringing us a new chilling series, The Graveyard Club, written by R.L. Stein. And the art is done by Carola Borelli. This story is set in Gravesend, which is a small town surrounded by graveyards, and this is where all of the local teens like to spend their time. After a prank gone wrong kicks off scares galore, it places the teens in danger. And so this is going to be following the story of these teens, and I think there's another picture of them too. Yeah, just I like the first one better, but that was, another cover coming out. But it comes out September 17th in bookstores and September 18th in your local LCS. This is something weird I've been noticing, is that books are coming out in comic books are coming out in bookstores before comic book shops. Is this a thing? Is this just something I'm just noticing, or?
I know they used to do comics at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, they still do.
Do they still do it?
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just an arrangement that they have. I'm noticing it more with stuff from Boom than anything. So I don't know. But this kind of has like a Breakfast Club meets Cemetery Man vibe. Kari.
Has R.L. Stein done other comics?
Yeah, he did
tons. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has. He's been doing a bunch with Boom. He did. Kari, correct me if I'm wrong. He did a horror Christmas comic, which I know me and you discussed, right? He did like an R.L. Stein. I remember it because it was a Santa on the cover. And then he also did a small thing of Man Thing, Fear the Man Thing, for Marvel at one point.
Well, and his name alone is going to attract so many people into reading this. It's going to, we might be getting new comic book readers just because people are like, oh my God, I grew up with R.L. Stein. I love this stuff. Goosebumps, everything. Rah!
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. But okay, so hey, Graveyard Club, everybody.
Woohoo!
Take that out. All right, what's next? Oh, Jar.
Oh, we called them giants. Yes. Image Comics has unveiled fresh details about their upcoming graphic novel, We Call Them Giants. This project marks the reunion of creators Karen Gillan and Stephanie Hans, who last collaborated on their 2018 creator-owned series, Die. Joining them is letterer Clayton Cowles. Die delved into a dark fantasy realm where a group of friends delved into a twisted tabletop game. Now, their latest endeavor shares similar thematic threads, presenting a post-apocalyptic narrative centered around a young woman awakening in a strange new world. Described as a fusion of The Walking Dead and The Iron Giant, the series follows Lori as she navigates desolate streets in search of signs of life. The press release teases melodramatic elements such as romance, heartbreak, and personal growth as Lori strives to carve out her place in a shattered reality. With Hans's distinctive painterly style, I hope that's a word, painterly style, I think I made it up. The series promises to be a captivating visual experience. We Call Them Giants will hit comic shops on Wednesday, October 30th, and bookstores on Tuesday, November 12th. So this one gets to comic shops before it gets to bookstores.
Okay, interesting. But
this seems right up my alley. Fantasy, killing, all sorts of good stuff.
I mean, that combination, Walking Dead and the Iron Giant, I was like, whoa,
Right?
what a combo. So
It just looks gorgeous.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Kieran Gillen, I mean, I remember reading his stuff when he was doing Uncanny X-Men back when they were on Utopia, which seems like such a long time ago. But I just think his creators, I mean, again, when you're just doing your own thing, I loved what he did with that, Young Avengers, Journey to Mystery, all that great stuff with Marvel. But then his creator stuff, Wicked and the Divine, I think he was working on a book Carrie covered, the one that was like a team of Watchmen kind of level people in an alternate dimension. Carrie, you remember that?
Yeah. Don't make me think of it right now, though.
No, it's fine. But honestly, hey, listen, just keep pumping them out,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, right. All right. So that comes out October 30th. So a little pre Halloween treat. So Carrie, you get a little present there. And next up is one of mine, which I'm super pumped about, as this is one of my favorite creators. So Dark Horse has teaming up with the all-star writer, Mr. James Robinson, for a bunch of new creator-owned series. The first one being one by this collaboration with artist extraordinaire Scott Collins, led by Jim Campbell, called Patra. Patra is a 4-part limited series told in a tradition of classic slasher films. So this will follow a young girl whose same name as the series, who wakes up in a small Midwestern town with no memory of who she was or her past. There's a serial killer on the loose who's got their eye targeted on the girl, and wherever she's in danger, a big knife and terrifying mask appears. What's going on? Can she make it alive? Is she the killer? No freaking idea. But this is, according to Robinson, this is tipping their hat to the slasher characters of the 1980s, focusing on this young girl who has to face the horror, growing confidence, all that, trying to figure out her own mysteries. He's just said he really wanted to do a horror book, and Collins, and Collins is just super pumped to work on this. He said this is his best horror story he's worked on since Solomon Grundy. So issue 1 will feature a variant cover by Francesco Francavilla, whose covers are always awesome. If you need any proof, check his Afterlife with Archie covers. Subsequent issues will have variants by Gabriel Hernandez, Walta, Matt Wagner, and of course the late great horror writer Kelly Jones. So again, this is the first of several creator-owned series that we will see more in 2024, early 2025. So Patra, issue 1, it's a 4-part miniseries, is available August 21st at your local comic shop, $4.99. Boom.
Awesome.
Very excited. Cannot wait. Definitely worth the support. So Patra, everybody, get that horror fix in.
Johnny the homicidal maniac vibes.
I totally went a totally opposite way. I got Maniac Mansion vibes.
Oh yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, listen, whatever the vibe, check it out.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next up, okay, so I was shocked this has not been done before, and if it has,
I know. Leo, thank you. I said the same thing because I know DC. And I was saying this to Kari. DC has done tons with aliens and predators and whatnot. Like I've seen Superman and aliens, Batman, and we covered Batman versus Predator. There even was one Superman and Batman versus Alien and Predator. But yeah, Marvel's for some reason they've done their own, as we've seen, they've been doing their own Predator and Alien series, but never this.
Yeah, so Aliens versus Avengers is going to be written by Jonathan Hickman, illustrated by Asad Ribic.
Yep.
And so this is going to be an incredible crossover. I mean, if it's anything like what we've seen in the past. So it's going to be Marvel versus the Aliens, set in a distant future. It's a four-part saga. Introduces older, tougher versions of the Marvel characters, and is a first ever collaboration between Marvel and Aliens, offering a fresh take on both universes. Readers will explore new aspects of alien lore within the Marvel universe, such as Engineer's homeworld, and it's xenomorphs invade Earth, leading to a clash between the ultimate organism and a planet of superhumans. Big question is, who will emerge victorious? And as we know, it's going to be the Avengers. So Hickman's amazing storytelling and Ribic's stunning art series guarantees unforgettable experience for fans. So, a book like this is... Oh, go for it, Jojo.
I was just saying that you got Hickman on it. It seems like they're putting some effort into it so that it's something worth reading.
Well, it's not just that, Jar. Like you also have that, but you also have Asad Ribic, whose artwork is always phenomenal. I mean, he did such great work with Jason Aaron during the first couple of arcs of his run on Thor. These guys collaborated last time on the Secret Wars back in, I think, 2018, 2019. One of their earliest collaborations was on Hickman's run of Ultimates back in the day when it was Ultimate Comics. And also this is a new timeline in the Marvel future. So we're dealing with something fresh and new. And I think this is just going to be such a good book. Like we're going to see more of it, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, you definitely got to make sure you subscribe over at your LCS. Make sure you get it pre-ordered. It's hitting shelves on July 24th. And apparently this is going to be right before the next movie, which I didn't even know was coming out, Romulus.
Yeah, Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. I know now. Still don't care.
No.
Yeah. So the trailer.
The last Predator movie wasn't too bad. That one that they had on.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
Yeah. If they keep following that kind of storytelling, it might be worth watching.
You didn't like it, Drew? You didn't like it?
You know what it is? It's just I find things out on my own time, and then I just watch, and I'm like, was this really like the Predator? I'm like, okay, like if we were talking about Predator, as in the Shane Black one, it was fine. There were things in it I liked, and then some things in it I was like, ugh.
We're talking about the Predator versus it's in the past with the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Oh no, Prey was amazing.
Yeah, Prey.
Absolutely. Oh no, Prey was fantastic. No, that yes. It's just the same way I feel about new Alien movies. Like I just feel like the Alien movies ever since like Resurrection have just been garbage. Because it's telling stories I don't care. Like I'm like, it's like, oh, this takes place in before. It's like it's like when they did the prequel for The Thing. Like these people are dead. Who cares how they died? Like they're not going to make it. So, but again, maybe prove me wrong. That's just my thing. But considering how expensive movie tickets are, I'm only going to the theaters for absolute, like, I need to see this, like Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Like, but if it's not, I was like, I'll wait till it's on demand. Thank you.
Oh, speaking of movies, just real quick, I was going to go see Monkey Man, but it hit on demand already.
Really?
Well, then you have your own private theater. Bernie.
Yeah, I know, totally.
Yeah. So
It's already on demand. Wow.
is there
Yeah.
any more news, or is that it?
Last one is Kari.
Yes. All right. So if you like James Tynion as much as I do, you're going to be so excited about this. Okay, I'm super excited about this. He is back with Alvaro Martinez.
Wait a second, Kari. Are you excited about it?
I am fucking thrilled out of my goddamn mind, Leo. You have
Goddamn
no
mind.
idea. Goddamn mind. So he's back with Alvaro Martinez Bueno, giving us a sequel to The Nice House on the Lake, which was back in 2021. This one he's calling the second cycle, and it is The Nice House by the Sea. They're using a similar formula. There's going to be 12 issues with a break in the middle. And in this one, we get pulled into a beautiful villa in the Mediterranean to follow 10 characters through the story. This time, they're all strangers to each other. So if you've read the first one, there was an alien who nicknamed all of his friends, and they each had their thing and they went by. So they had like, this is the artist or whatever. In this one, we'll be following the doctor, the writer, the historian, the actor, the artist, the priest, the scientist, the singer, the politician, and the mathematician. They are all perfect strangers to each other, and they are being hosted by an alien woman named Max. And they believe, she is leading them to believe that they are all the last humans in existence. So we have to see how they work together, how they come across it. Yeah. And this is going to be available through DC's Maturator's Black Label.
Is it going to be polybagged?
But the first issue is hitting July 24th. But here's the deal with this one. Last House on the Lake, which is where this is coming from, not only was an Eisner Award winner, it became the first DC comic since Watchmen in the 1980s to win an award at the European Acclaimed Festival, bringing home the Best Series Award. And this will also make Tynion the only creator at DC Comics to have a creator-owned comic since the closing down of Vertigo back in 2020. And
wow. This is creator-owned. No kidding.
Yeah. So he's hoping that this will help break through for more people at the big two, and others have to have their own.
That would be an interesting way for DC to go. Good morning.
Hi, Robert.
Morning.
I sent you a message. Get back to me on that. But yeah, so he's going deep into his personal life with this one. If you can't tell, I'm kind of ill about this.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
Yeah. Oh, but he wrote the first one kind of based on experience with his friends, and this one he wrote basically to fuck with his therapist. He wants to scare his therapist with it. He writes all about himself and the things that he's done, and when he puts himself in ugly places. And then Bueno, who was all about doing this, and if you can see the gorgeous artwork he does, he has this great with the houses. It doesn't really show them in here, unfortunately, but he calls it house porn. And he went through when they were trying to place it, and they were initially going to put it somewhere else, and he was like, no. He went through Zillow and started looking at properties until he found where he wanted to have it set and the basis of the houses that he was going to do. So anyway, yeah, James Tynion rocks. New DC creator-owned comic, July 24th. Get it. Get yourself on this, because it is some fucking gorgeous shit, and it is going to be amazing.
Kari will be very mad.
Dude, I'm like, as soon as I was just like, okay, time to type up to the LCS. Get me on this.
Deep breath, Kari.
It's going to be a one-shot?
No, it's 12 issues, and they're
12 issues, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
The same way as they were in the first one. So.
And I think
we did it.
Is that the news, Kari?
That's the news.
That's the news.
We did it, folks.
All right.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
And Drew's still awake. All right.
I know.
I'm proud of you.
You guys jinxed me because I'm starting to feel my back twinge. So we'll wrap things up fast. But I just wanted to go through I know we had these pictures that everybody loaded.
yeah,
so,
we forgot to show the pup photos.
yeah.
Let's
So
show them anyway.
yeah. So as I go through the pictures, if you got a
Good.
quick thing, just mention it. So what do we got here?
Aww.
That's Hinata, who's sitting in my lap right now in this chair, and she owns this chair.
Aww.
Yeah, so that's my little girl posing.
Okay.
That's my beefy man cat, Jasper. Jasper.
Aww.
And those are my
Aw.
boys. That's Poe and Gus. Poe's
Aw.
on the left, Gus is
I
on
didn't
the
know
right.
you had pugs.
I have one pug and one Frenchie, and then my
Oh my
ratty
God.
cat.
Oh my! No wonder you're so tired. That's a lot of energy.
Oh my God, you don't even know.
I have some idea. Aww. I can't wait till me and Ange have a house so I can get a dog.
So worth it to have all the other misery with owning a
This is-
house.
This is Peanut, and this is who I'm going to pup sit for the next 5 days.
Aw, God damn it.
She loves to go on car rides. That's her car seat, and she
I can't.
gets so excited in her car seat. She's just,
I haven't. I think. Okay, come on, Leo. I know you have photos of your dog.
Oh yeah.
I do.
They're
I
coming.
do. Yeah. This is Riley as a pup.
Oh wow.
Oh, no, that's
As a
Peanut.
pup.
Riley's small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leo, as
That's so
Jar,
cute.
as a pup, the dog grows.
No.
Yeah. There she is. And here's her more recently.
There you go.
Is my screen frozen?
Aww.
There we go.
Yeah. And here's her today. Well, not today, but recently. And as you know, she lost an eye recently. So she's our one-eyed pup.
Aw.
And I'm going to share.
More flying purple people even.
And before Riley, I had Angel and Bear, and they went through hell with me. They got me through a lot of tough times. Bear actually was the first one to let us know about the snakes.
Mm.
He stopped eating at one point, and I was working, so I asked my sister to bring him to the vet, and they're like, "You got to get down here now." Yeah. And Angel,
Why did we end the show like this?
I'm sorry.
It's like reading Stray Dogs again. I'm filled with hope, and then my heart breaks.
Oh.
Oh, okay,
Thanks,
God, end the show, Leo.
Yeah. Okay. We'll wrap things up. Angel. Yeah, she was an angel. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. You know me, you know how to find me, but more importantly, you want to follow these awesome people and check the show notes for our awesome guests. Go check out Feral. Issue 2 comes out tomorrow, and we'll kick it over to Kari.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. I think we had a great show. We had so much fun with those two guests, and seriously, read the comics. You're going to just love them, and they're going to steal the water from your eyes. It'll be okay, though. You'll get through it. So yeah, if you want to find me, look for Kari Sanders on Facebook, and if you see a crow, that's me. Robert, I have sent you a message because we were talking about something when you were watching one of our other shows. So if you check that, I will get back to you if you get back to me. And other than being on here, I'm on the Owlite Network. I think we're up to like 14 shows now. I'm on about half of them. You'll find me pretty much every Sunday, every other Monday, and every other Thursday. And that is also part of the Dorkening. Follow me, go to Facebook, do all the stuff, read my books, I write too. Let's go over and see what Trader is doing.
Jar.
Oh, it's on me. I think my screen frozen. I'm still looking at Kari. Sorry about that. My screen froze or something. I was just like, it's coming to me. All right. Anyways, check me out tomorrow night on Token with the Dead. Hopefully Leo will be back soon because I miss his smiling face on there. And I really don't have much else. Go to Facebook. Find me there. Let's be friends. That's it. Over to Drew.
Yes, hi, I'm Drew, and as you can tell, I'm tired. We have a lot of great stuff. We have a great guest next week, Gersa Valley, who is a upcoming artist as well. She's someone who reached out to us through C2E2, and we're really excited to have her on the show. So check that out. Thank you so much for coming here, Tony and Trish. Thank you so much again. We had a great show with you. If you need to chat with me, I'm on Facebook. My Instagram is right below because these idiots don't ever let me forget it. Yeah, I'm doing things, but I'm really tired. And
before I forget.
And back to Jar.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter. Justin Cooper wanted us to mention from IDW, he will be reviewing the 150th issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right, he did.
Yes, so make sure you check that.
It's on the website right now. So if you head over to the Splash Pages website,
now we can go.
Oh, okay, cool. We're gonna go now. Thanks, you. Love your animals as they love you.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets. Bye.
Bye.
Woof.